Animix. This is a very simple game by Blue Orange, a family game that can be played with children or even just with adults. It's one of those true family games where different generations can play together. They all have good chances of winning, but you could just play it as a filler with your hardcore gamer friends, and I think it'll be fine. It's a game that I played with 2, 3, or 4 players, so with one of my daughters, with both of them, and we were even able to convince mom to play the game, and then she asked to play it again, which is big endorsement. Mom is busy, does not often play games these days. It's an abstract game at its core with a nice animal, I don't know if it's a theme, but definitely with beautiful animal art. The game comes with different sets of animals, and in each game you will only use some of them, and the number of animals that you use depends on the number of players. So we got lions, elephants, chameleons, penguins, and here I set up a game for 3 players with wolves, pelicans, lovebirds, and monkeys. So, huge variety there because these animals work very differently from one another, and so trust me, if you just change 1 or 2 of these animals here, you have a different game. And in fact, that's part of the fun part of the game, is to decide which animals to use each time. Different family members prefer different animals. So huge replay value for a game that is basically a filler. You can play in 10-15 minutes and then you will want to play it again with different animals. So you will shuffle together the decks of the animals that you have decided to use, and you will make a grid, and the number of cards in the grid and the exact composition depends again on the number of players. Then each player will have a hand of 6 cards, again made from the animals that we have seen there. You have a hand of 6 cards, and your turn is pretty simple. During your turn, you do one of 2 things. You can take a card from your hand and put it in your personal scoring pile. That's it, which may feel a bit anticlimactic, but it's not, because the game is so fast. You don't feel like, oh, I bet it took such long turns, and my turn was like, boom. Because maybe other people's turn was like this. So during your turn, you can take a card and put it in your personal scoring pile. As simple as that. Or you can take a card from your hand, use it to replace a card on the board, lock it with one of these tokens so that cannot be replaced anymore, and you take the card that you just took and you put that one in your personal scoring pile. So this is what I did this time, and suppose maybe next time I decide to do something similar like this. So as the game progresses, a lot more cards will be locked, which is part of the strategy also, and so your options are reduced, but in any case, you get 6 turns because you have 6 cards, and then each card you will place a card in your scoring pile, either straight from your hand or from the board, locking the card that you put on the board. When everybody played all of their cards, so everybody has a scoring pile, you reveal the cards in your scoring pile. And then you score each animal, but each animal only scores once and only gives victory points to the player who has the most of that animal. So if I have the most monkeys, I'm the one that will gain points from monkeys. I have the most wolves, I'm the one that will score wolves. If there's a tie, then all tied players will split the amount of points. Suppose that now wolves are scoring 4 points. If I had the most and I'm the only one with the most, I gain 4 points. 2 players tie for the most, then those 2 players gain 2 points each. And this is the heart of the game, but the strategy changes entirely based on, well, how the animals score. The pelicans, you look at the largest group of pelicans that are connected diagonally, and that is how many points the pelicans score. The wolves, as the icons show there, and these icons are very good, a point for each wolf on the edges of the board or the play area. That's why I said 4 in this case. The lovebirds, each pair of lovebirds adjacent to one another, vertically or horizontally, 4 victory points. The monkeys, the longest vertical line of monkeys is worth that many points. Monkeys are not very good right now. That would only be worth 1 point. Penguin, largest group of penguins adjacent to one another perpendicularly, 1 point per penguin. Lions, 11 minus the number of lions on the board. They don't like to be surrounded by many other of their kind, and that's how you score lions, but you need at least 1 to be on the board for the lions to score anything. Elephants, longest horizontal line. Chameleon, you look at the chameleon that is surrounded by the most different species, different from one another, and that is the number of points. A chameleon surrounded by 4 different species, then the chameleons will score 4 points at the end of the game. And this is how it works. You connect, you total all the points from all sources, player with the highest total wins the game. I'll tell you without hesitation and without hyperbole, Animix has to be one of the best games that I played this year. To me, this is one of the hits of 2020. So simple, but so addictive, so fun, so enjoyable. After seeing my entire family getting really passionate about it, may have played into that. So if I'm biased, that's fine. That's my videos. All I can do is to share my own impressions and my own opinions, my own feelings. And I had such a good time playing Animix. I just love seeing how different combinations of animals play together. See how my different family members try to be sneaky about an animal as they're trying to set up a certain situation. But really, part of the fun, a part of the simple dilemma, it's a simple dilemma, but really is one such dilemma, which is how can I get cards in my scoring pile that will allow me to score something, and at the same time have a lot of those right there to create those combos. I want a combination of 9 penguins on the board, so that's 9 points, but then there's only 1 penguin left, and maybe I don't even have it. Also, some cards are more fragile than others. You can break a combination of penguin and bring it from 5 points to 2. The same for the monkeys or for the elephants. The value of some of these also changes depending on the number of players because the grid will be different, and so the line of monkeys the column of monkeys cannot give you more points than the number of rows that you have, and the line of elephants no more than the number of columns that you have. So there are these elements, but I like how some animals are quote unquote safer. The chameleon is always going to score pretty good. It's very hard. A chameleon will be surrounded by 4 examples from samples of the same animal. Others are completely situational. And the setup is important, which is cool because it's totally random. So again, huge replay value. Even with the same set of animals, a lot of wolves are on the edges around the board at the beginning. That makes them really valuable. People are going to try to grab them or they're going to try to mess with them. And maybe another time, the same for animals, a lot of wolves are in people's hands. So are you going to start building that situation there? Or are you just going to forget about the wolves and use them to mess up other people, to put them where they're not needed? Even with the same combination of animals, the variable setup will create different situations. I have to tell you, this is one of the most replayable games that I can think of because it plays so differently from animal to animal with the same animals. Really a gem, a minimalistic gem. So simple. You can play with young kids, and yet actually there's thinking that is involved about how can I set up my situation, mess up other people's situation, and actually get to score when I want to score because I had this great situation and you score. So there's an element of memory. Okay, how many cards did Louisa take of that animal? But also guessing because you don't necessarily get to see the cards that people put in their score pile. If they take it from the board, you see them, but if they come from their hand, you don't. And so there's the guessing. Is she bluffing? Is she trying to create a penguin situation, although actually maybe she's trying to distract me from something else, and at the last minute she'll mess up the penguins and she has been scoring something else. Really, really impressive. To me, a good game is a game that presents you with interesting dilemmas and meaningful choices. This does it in such a minimalistic package with really good art and with mind-blowing replay value. Animix was really impressive. Everybody in my family loved it, even the wife, and she is a tough judge. The more casual of a gamer she is, the less often she plays, the tougher she becomes, the harshest of a critic she is, the harsher she is, and yet she also loved it. Animix, such a great game for the entire family. But when I will have game night with my adult friends again in the future after the quarantine, I will also play it. This will be a great filler, but also probably one of these fillers that you start playing as a filler, 3 hours later you're still there playing it after you play 20, 30 times. Because it's that addictive, because it is that good. Animix, one of the best games of 2020, in my opinion.